health. Dr. Nagasawa invented ribosine for a specific purpose, and that was to try to help people. The man has an unbelievable heart, spent 25 years researching to develop this product to help people. That was the primary purpose. And what I can tell you about this partnership right from the start is that these are genuine people who have a mission for global health. They actually genuinely care about the people around them, and it fits right in with our values, our ethics, and our mission. And these guys, they have done some unbelievable things. And so just wanted to, go through and give you guys just a sense for the number of unbelievable things that these gentlemen have accomplished. And if you watch the screen, just watch as they turn red because they're so humble that these accomplishments, they some for some reason are embarrassed by their accomplishments of how great they actually are. Let's just go and now, and I want to make sure that you guys understand this. I cannot possibly list everything that they've done because we would be here for at least 3 or 4 hours. So we're just going to truncate that part of it. So for Alistair, two-time Olympic gold medal champion, six-time ITU World Championship gold medalist, five-time European Championship gold medalist, one-time World Aquathon Championship gold medalist, two-time Commonwealth Games gold medalist, two-time Ironman in the 70.3 World Championship silver medalist. That's quite a list. I'm out of breath. So Alistair, please forgive me as I cut your accomplishments down by a tenth. Okay. Uh, Johnny Brownlee, the most decorated Olympic triathlete in history. Unbelievable. Gold medalist in the Tokyo Games, silver medalist in the Rio Games, bronze medalist in the London Games, seven-time ITU World Championship gold medalist, one-time European gold medalist, one-time Commonwealth gold medalist, and man, I'm out of breath. That's just unbelievable. There's so many other things that these guys have done that go beyond these accolades that they've achieved. There's things that behind the team, a person never accomplishes these things on their own. So we want to really talk to them about how they did this, because the process that people go through to succeed, everyone sees the championships, everyone sees the high achievement. Sometimes we don't know that it takes a whole team of people working with you to become that great. And that means that you've developed unbelievable relationships. You've gone through trials and tribulations. You've gone through things that people don't see. And that's so much similar to the business that all of you guys are engaged in right now, that, hey, you're fighting. And, when you achieve that success, it's because you've managed to work together. You've managed to pull a team together, and you all work as one to achieve a goal. And Johnny and Alistair, they've achieved some amazing things, but let's ask them and talk to them about their process. So, I would love to turn to Alistair first and say, Al and Johnny, the same question. What was it like where you grew up? What is it that drove you guys to being the champions that you are?
Well, hi Joe. Thank you for that incredible introduction there. Yeah, hopefully I'm not too red. But yeah, it was a long time ago. I think, firstly, we both started doing sport as very active young people, as kind of 5, 6 year olds. Our mum had been a swimmer, so she took us to the local swimming club as 6 year olds, and with a promise that we could win medals. And our dad had been keen runner and took us running for fun on evenings and weekends, and running races, whether that's school cross country or local trail races at the weekends. And I was so rubbish at the first ever cross country races. For those of you who don't know, cross country running is mostly a very British sport where you just run around mostly very muddy fields for fun. And I was very rubbish at it, and came near the back of the field, but for some reason I loved it and wanted to get better. So yeah, I think that's what it was like. We had a very supportive family, never really pressured to do anything, but parents who really wanted to support us and help us and enable us to experience as many different sports as we possibly could. And at the same time, we're keen to keep two very active, maybe even hyperactive young children uh, active and tired by exercising. And yeah, that's how we progressed. At some point, as when I was 8, I had an uncle who was doing triathlon at the time, Ironmans even, and decided to give a triathlon a go, as trying many other different sports, and loved triathlon as an 8-year-old. And then as I progressed through my teenage years, just did more and more sport, especially initially with a massive amount of support from my parents, taking me to swimming lessons in an evening, running club one night, taking me out cycling at weekends with Johnny as well. Absolutely incredible.
And so, Johnny, did just follow in your older brother's footsteps, or were you just, you know, I know you guys may not know, but my brother and I are about the same distance in age, about 2 years apart. So, my parents would just want to kick us out of the house because we were too busy, fighting. Uh, so, what was that like for you as the younger brother?
Yeah, so Alistair obviously covered that perfectly, our early career. But Alistair's 2 years older than me, so obviously did a lot of things first. He got the Great Britain Best for the first time, so a big moment for me was when Alistair was 14 years old. He got his Great Britain Best, came home, put it on the kitchen table, and I thought, wow, I can achieve that as well. And Alistair went to the Olympics in Beijing in 2008, and I was actually in the stand watching him do that. And I'm quite an underconfident person, and didn't believe that we could ever reach those heights. And seeing Alistair lead the Olympic Games triathlon until the last 5K on the run, I was there going, wow, I can do that as well. I've got a brother who achieved that by cycling to school, by running at lunchtime, by eating the occasional fish and chips and things like that. It made me believe I can do that as well. These athletes that I thought were untouchable, unreachable, are now people that I can actually compete with. So I think for me, having Alistair breaking down those barriers first was absolutely massive, because he basically created a training squad, a training structure that I could just copy. And I knew if I could keep up with Alistair, then I could win world medals and Olympic medals.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, Alistair, when you were in high school, so Johnny's mentioning that you had set up a structure, right? So, when you had started to, really love the sports, how did you transfer that sort of that desire into consistency, into being able to, because, to be great at something, you must be consistent. You have to lay it down. Where did you develop that? At what point in your teenage years, maybe, did you get that discipline?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think to be great at anything, whether it's sport, music, or anything else in life, it takes a lot of practice, which takes consistency over a long period of time. And I think I had that understanding from a relatively young age, and realized that the human body, at its simplest form, is the more of something you can do, the more stimulus you give it, the more training you give it, the more it responds, and the stronger and faster you get. Obviously, up to a limit, but to be able to put as much exercise through your body as possible to get the biggest response as possible, you need to be consistent over a long period of time of just amalgamating, training upon training, and getting that kind of dividend of response over time. And yeah, so I had the idea of putting in a regular weekly kind of schedule, that's how I train week in, week out. And I think by the time I was probably 14 or 15, that was cycling to school in the morning. I think I set off at something like 7:30 and cycle somewhere between 10 and 15 miles on the way to school, running at my school during the lunch hour, running for about an hour, then swimming after school for a couple of hours. The local swimming club was training at the pool there, so I literally just had to finish class and go and dive in the pool and swim there for 2 hours. And then sometimes even cycle home, sometimes not. But yeah, it was a relatively kind of very laid out structure, doing slightly different days. I'd have slightly harder days where I'd do some intensity, but most of it was based around doing relatively low level endurance aerobic training before Zone 2 became fashionable. And yeah, it's just building up. The base of it really is that very simple idea of the more you do with something, the more adaptation you get from your body. And yeah, I think to your point of that kind of determination and resilience over time, yeah, I think I worked out that if I had a pattern and I made as much training as I could habitual, I was never waking up in the morning and going, "Oh, I'm going to give my chance not to cycle to school this morning or go swimming." It became part. I made sure it's part of my life. It's I'm getting up, the alarm's going off at whatever 7 o'clock on a Monday morning. What I do today is put my kid on and get on my bike and cycle towards school. And I think that's a really important lesson. I think to take forward into I think almost anything I do. You don't want to be using that willpower to get out of bed or get off the sofa every day to go and do your training or work or whatever that needs to be. You need to try and make it habitual. You need to try and remove the barriers to doing it as much as possible. And on the rare occasions that you really do need that drive, that willpower, then of course you have to use it, but you save those for special occasions.
So Johnny, when you saw your brother getting up and biking to school, were you right on the bike and following him right away, or did you just say, you know what, I'm gonna keep up with what he's doing? Yeah, that can be a very interesting relationship for teenage boys.
Yeah, well, Alice obviously started to ride in school first. I used to take the school bus, and interestingly enough, the school bus actually took longer than cycling to school. So pretty quickly, I thought, well, what's the point of cycling? What's the point of taking a school bus? I might as well ride to school. And then I'd follow Alistair. I think Alistair initially didn't like having his younger brother following him along, trying to drop me. We used to have races on the way to school and make it fun. But I obviously swam from a very young age. I ran, and I was best at my school for all those younger years. And then I went to a cross-country race when I was about 13 years old and nearly got beaten by someone from my school. And that was a big moment for me because I thought, right, I can't have this anymore. I'm either going to commit fully and train or not do it at all. And on the way home, we went to a sports shop, bought some new cycling clothes. And then from that day, I cycled to school pretty much every single day for the rest of my school career. And having Alistair there obviously made it easier for me because I could just follow him. But it took something else to make me realise if I wanted to be good at sport, I couldn't just rely on what I was doing. I had to make changes and I had to commit.
Now, who pushed you when your brother is out there riding in front of you trying to drop you? And I know what that's like. And you're like, you must have been thinking, I am going to catch him, at some point. And at some point, I'm sure you caught him. What was that like?
Yeah, well,
did
obviously,
you talk a little trash.
Yeah. No, I'm not much of a trash talker. Obviously, being very British, understated. I probably knew that just by keeping up with him, that'll be enough. But part of our strength as having both of us there is it's quite rare to have a training partner that you're that similar to. Quite often because of the competition you have with other people, you don't want to train with people who you're competing against because you don't want to show them your secrets. You don't trust them sometimes. Maybe that person is going on the way home, is putting an extra few miles in just to get one over you. So one thing that we've always had is a very open book in that we're open about what training we do. We don't try and get one over each other. We realise in those key sessions we can really help each other out, and our strength is actually having both of us there and pushing each other on. I'm always racing Alistair. I'm still racing him now. We went to the pool this morning. And although Alistair's doing slightly different training because he's doing the longer distance now, we're still racing each other in the pool, and that's brilliant because Alistair was talking about before. You are motivated 95% of the time, but there's times when you really need someone to push you on, and having Alistair just to follow, to push you on to race, gets everything out of yourself.
That's awesome. One thing that I think is great about you guys, and there are so many different things, is that you guys are incredibly coachable. You allow people to push you. How do you do that as the most decorated triathletes in history? How do you maintain that mindset that you give other people permission to push you when you need to be pushed? How do you go about that?
Well, for me, I think it's about choosing those people is the most important. Like, I have a kind of philosophy that I only want to work with people who genuinely want me to do well and genuinely have my best interests at heart. So my coaching team, my physio team, my support network, it's got to be those people who will do anything to make you succeed. They want you to do well. They're not just turning up. It's not just their job. They sacrifice as much as you to get to that point. And also, you can always learn. And a lot of the time for coaches and support network for me have actually been about holding me back and about telling me at the right time that I'm fit and to keep calm. Don't do too much, don't push it too much. If you want to be a good endurance athlete, your default has always got to be to want to do more training all the time and want to push yourself more and more. And occasionally you need those people to say, right, that's enough. Take it easy today. You've got a race coming up, or change this slightly. I only want to surround myself with those good people.
Al?
I agree with Johnny on that. It's I think, like, to your point, I agree with Johnny everything he said. You want to surround yourself with good people. You've got to remember sport is in some ways unique, but not all unique in terms of it's not only your job, it's your passion, it's your hobby, it's your life. It's so much kind of more than just a job. And so you kind of need people, I think, on the journey with you who are aligned with that, with your values and goals. And like Johnny said, that could be they're there because they want to be there, has been aligned, but it could also mean that they're obviously prepared to work and do something with you at 10 o'clock on a Sunday night if needs be, or travel with you to the other ends of the world, or it can't just be a job. I think for some of those people as well. So finding really engaged and motivated people is really important, and you gain a lot from that. And I think coachability in a term is interesting. At times, as an athlete, you absolutely have to listen to advice and work out whose advice to listen to and when. But other times, you also have to, discount that advice and make your own decisions. And you have to be good at making your own decisions, because you can't have someone telling you what to do all the time. And ultimately, it's your body. So it's a constant challenge, like working out, I think, how to manage that.
When you guys, putting your bodies through the strenuous training, the races, you're going to come with some real lows, because your body is your body and you will get injured. How do you guys get out of a rut? When things just aren't clicking, what is it that you guys do to pick yourselves up?
You're absolutely right that I think one of the biggest challenges in sport is injury, and it's no cliche that sport is a roller coaster ride of highs and lows. And I get asked this question a lot in terms of resilience and how do you have that resilience? And my response is always something like, well, resilience isn't just an action that you have a tough something that goes wrong and you respond to it. It's more of a way of thinking, a perspective that you're always having to respond to. Whether it's a little thing one day or a big thing the next day, you're constantly having to respond, reassess, reset your goals, and move on. So there's that. I think in terms of a bigger rut, for me, it's always reminding myself why I do it. And although exercise and training is effectively my job to race, it's also my passion and what I enjoy doing as well. So if I'm having a tough time of it, I make time to either put on my running shoes or go out on my mountain bike and just actually head out for fun, and actually making the time for me to do that, doing it without the purpose of training, going somewhere remote to do it, taking the time to do it. So I've got nothing to get back for, no other stresses apart from kind of being in nature, exercising, and reminding myself why I enjoy doing it. That's what always works for me.
Yeah. Well, Johnny, one thing people may not know on this call is that you managed to finish like something over 40 races, world-class races in a row. You hit the podium. That's nuts, man. I mean, that's just nuts. How did you keep yourself in that level of consistency over such an extended period of time?
Yeah, I was just about to mention that actually when you talk about your last question, because one of my proudest moments of my proudest achievements of my career was between it was like April 2010 and May 2014. I was on the podium in every single race I did. It ended up being something like 42, 43 races. And I kind of wish, well, firstly, I wish I appreciated it more. One thing that I regret in those times is I took it for granted. Those podiums I didn't really celebrate. Maybe this is why I continued it as well, but I didn't really take in those highs. It was just on to the next race the whole time. All right, there's another medal. You put it in a suitcase, come back home, unpack your bike, get training again, go to another race. Oh, there's another medal. So that probably helped me continue that pattern. But at the same time, I kind of wish now that I had appreciated it a bit more. Because one thing I don't think I've done very well in my career is celebrate those moments and those achievements. And now as I've got older and I realise it's got harder to achieve those highs and those podiums, I look back and go, I should have enjoyed that more. But I think one thing that I have done as an athlete is being very consistent and consistent in training. I remember going into London 2012, and from when I started training in November 2011 until the start of the Olympic triathlon in August 2012, I don't think I missed a minute of training in that whole time, and that is down to consistency of making sure you do all the little things right. You eat well, you sleep well, you rest in between training, you don't do too much, and you keep that load consistent. As I've realised now over years, the most important thing in training is not to have any spikes in load. Don't one week go out and run 150k, the next week come back run 50k. You're almost basically keeping it more flat line. And like I also said, just make it fun, make it enjoyable.
Awesome. Now that you guys you've got worldwide accolades, everybody, is admiring your passion, your value system. You've achieved so much in your lives. Why is it now that you've chosen to partner with Max?
Well, to us, we've been building Brownlee Fitness for a few years now, and that's all really about trying to take our training methodology and democratize it to help as the biggest number of people as possible on their fitness journey, whether that is just getting fit to be able to do a bit of training with their mate, or whether it's trying to complete an Ironman triathlon. We have that entire range of people on our squads at Brownlee Fitness that makes us both very proud and is great. And Pete and Andy are doing an amazing job every day supporting all those athletes on their journey, which is amazing. And then when we came across Max and I started to look into it as a supplement and read about ribosine and the positive effects, I was kind of amazed of some of the scientific literature available on the benefits. And ultimately it's there trying to do the same job as we're doing, delivering advice and a product to help as many people live the healthiest lives they possibly can. And then I met you, Joe, obviously, and you told me the amazing backstory, and really coming from a place of ultimately trying to help people and take a supplement to the world to help people live as healthily as possible. And I thought, wow, this is what an amazing thing to be involved in.
Awesome. Johnny, have you had a chance to sample and use the products, and how have you found them?
Yeah, well, absolutely brilliant. I tried them back in the study in January time, and for that kind of 6 8 week period. And yeah, for me personally, is getting to now a 34-year-old athlete who I'm trying to qualify for the Olympics this year. It's getting harder for me. The recovery is definitely harder. I get more achy in between sessions. I'm not that young athlete anymore who springs out of bed. So I wanted to try the products to see if it could help that and help me on my goal, because, like I say, I need every bit of help I can get. And when I was trying the products back a couple of months ago, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, I did feel really good. I had the most consistent bit of training I've done in years, and I felt brilliant. I hit all my sessions. So, that's why I wanted to try them to see if I can get that edge.
Awesome. Well, I can tell you that you'll definitely get that edge. We're all looking forward to the races that you guys have coming up. Can you tell the Max audience here where can we follow you? Where can they get to know more about you guys? What are the races that you have coming up soon? Because I know they're all going to want to follow you guys.
Yeah, it'd be amazing to be followed by as many of you here on this call as possible, and the Max family, which is lovely to be a part of. You can follow us in lots of places, obviously on social media through our individual Instagrams. If you search Johnny Brownlee and Ali Brownlee, Ali Brownlee Try, you'll definitely find us both. Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and through our Brownlee Fitness channels, which are fantastic as well. Brownlee Fitness on Instagram is very active and full of some great advice.
So what races do you have coming up?
So as far as races coming up, I'm hoping to qualify for Paris. So I'm actually going to Japan on Sunday to race in Yokohama the following Saturday. And that's a big qualification race for me. And and then hopefully qualify for Paris, and hopefully be there racing the mixed team relay and the individual in July, August time.
Awesome. We can't wait to follow you guys. Maybe Andy or Pete can put into the chat all of your Instagram and places that people can follow you, if that would be possible. Now, one last thing before we go to some of your teammates, particularly Pete. What do you guys hope to accomplish with this with the partnership as we look to the future, as we come together? What is it that you see as your vision?
Well, I think our grand overall vision is providing the best possible health and fitness advice to as many people as possible. And like I said, that's everyone from someone who wants to be a bit more active and a bit healthier every day to someone right up to the other end of the spectrum doing Ironmans and ultra marathons. And ultimately, both Max International with Ribosine and Brownlee Fitness are both in that place of trying to provide the best possible advice and products to help people live as healthily as possible. So we're hoping at Brownlee Fitness, by partnering with Max, we can take our training and exercise, healthy living advice to your customers and the people in Max's sphere of healthy living. And we're hoping at Brownlee Fitness with Max to be able to take Max to a new sphere of potential customers who are also trying as hard as they can to live their healthiest possible lives. So between us, we're hoping for an amazing partnership that is brilliant for everyone involved.
Well, I have no doubt that is what's going to happen. I can tell all you guys on the phone, there are a few things, when I first got to meet Alistair, most just unbelievably humble guy. He's surrounded by people at this race in Miami that are just coming up to him, and he's shaking everybody's hand, talking to everybody. I think he grabbed a beer. I'm not going to say which one, but it was just relaxing. And then we went out to dinner, and I've never seen a 160-pound man eat so much in my life. It was truly unbelievable. But it was really great meeting you, and great meeting you here, Johnny. I look forward to working with you guys. And thank you so much for lending your advice to all of the team here, your vision for the future. I know that we look forward to working with you guys and your incredible team. Your team is amazing. The people behind the scenes. Andy has helped me amazingly with my training, get me up off that couch and start to try to catch up to Mr. Pete Pastides. So, why you guys have a little story about Pete before we bring him on, maybe?
We have a story about Pete. The only story about Pete is, without a doubt, he's the most enthusiastic man about everything I've ever met, and you're about to all experience that yourself now.
Yeah, my story of Pete is, I think he might be the only person I've ever met who finished a triathlon and then got on a plane in his tri-suit still, so fully clothed.
Had to rush back to work.
Yeah, he rushed back to work. He wasn't doing it out of choice.
Amazing. Well, we love working with Pete. Great guy. And Johnny and Alistair, thank you guys so much for sharing your wisdom with the team. And I'm sure they'll be looking forward to hearing from you guys, and they'll be cheering you on like those folks in Ecuador moving forward. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us. Cheers, guys.
Take care.